When people see a carved bear, their eyes usually go right to the head and the paws, I suppose. Those are the features that make the animal come alive. But here's the thing, the fur is where many carvers cut corners. It's often roughed in quickly, almost like an afterthought, and while the head and paws might capture attention at first glance, if the fur doesn't carry depth and believability, the whole piece risks falling flat. Fur isn't just surface detail, it's the outer skin of the anatomy beneath. When I carve, I think about what's going on under the surface. The big muscles in the shoulders, the stretching skin across the ribs, and the thick pads around the neck. That's why the depth of the fur plays such a critical role. I don't just scratch lines on the surface. I go deep in certain places, carving shadows that suggest where muscles lie beneath. Those cuts break up the monotony of furring a bear, and they give the carving life. When the light hits those deep grooves, you get shadows that read as strength, emotion, and weight. Without that understanding, the fur just sits there like a pattern, not a living coat. For my own work, I rely on my steel battery-powered saws with my Samurai Legend carving bars in variable lengths. Here's how I like to do the fur. I make the same style cuts some people use on pine tree carvings, undercutting horizontal lines in key areas before I begin detail. Then I break the work down into about 6-inch sections. Then I get into the finer textures. In areas that need a softer touch, I drag the Samurai Legend bar tip while fluttering my wrist to lay individual lines in procession. The variation gives the fur natural flow so it doesn't look stiff or mechanical. Once those layers are established, I turn to the chisels and die grinder for refinement. Carving nostrils, tuning the edges of the muscles, tightening the details that really sell the realism. These small touches make a huge difference on how the light dances across the face and body of the bear. Shadow and light are everything. Think of them as your paintbrush. A line cut too shallow might vanish when the piece is viewed in the daylight. A line cut too deep may look harsh and unnatural. The balance is what creates believability. You want shadows to pierce the surface, but in a way that feels intentional, as if nature herself put them there. I remember one bear I worked on years ago. It was a commission for a client who wanted something special, but the log itself wasn't perfect. Knots, uneven grain, and all the other challenges that make carvers' hands sweat. I could have rushed it. I could have roughed in the fur like I did on the quick sell bears, and it would have been fine. It would have looked great at a glance. But I decided to take my time. I varied the depth of each stroke, paid attention to how shadow fell across the curves of the muscle, and let the saw tip dance like it was sketching on paper. When I stepped back at the end of the day, the head and paws were still striking, but the fur itself drew the eye. The bear wasn't just carved, it felt alive. It taught me more about rhythm, depth, and shadow in a single session than years of quick bears had. Now, not every bear needs the full treatment. Most carved bears are cash and carry. You'll make them fast. Maybe a craft fair or roadside stand, and those don't need all the bells and whistles. A simple roughed-in coat and clean features will do the job. But here's the point. Practicing your fur techniques on these quick carves pays off later. Every cut you make on a simple piece is preparation for the big bear. The one you've always imagined carving. The one where you'll take your time and put in all the depth, detail, and artistry you've been building towards. At this point in my career, I can beckon the flow state while furring and zone right out. I'm aware what I'm doing, but I also mentally am taking my hands off the wheel, allowing the energy of the earth, the almighty force that moves through everything, to flow right through me. I'm sure some of you have felt that remarkable feeling, the sense of becoming part of the work rather than just guiding it. That's when furring becomes effortless, and the wood itself seems to carry the rhythm. Carving fur isn't just a matter of filling space. It's an exercise in understanding anatomy, light, patience, and connection. Whether it is a quick Carve Bear or a showpiece, every stroke teaches you something. And when you finally tackle that masterpiece, all of those hours of practice, all of those flow state sessions come together to create a bear that feels truly alive.